feels like with every entry starting from Coexistence, they really are starting to dive into the story. It's the second to last entry in the Try series, so it would make sense that they want to build up anticipation for future.
Passed out from lack of oxygen, Mako thinks back to when she first noticed something wrong with Meicoomon. Meicoomon was alone in the woods and utterly terrified until Mako showed up. We also see that during that time alone, she went violent.
Right. You're gonna need color for that.
At home, Mako gives Meicoomon a bath as she got really filthy in the woods. At first, the mother thinks Meicoomon was just a child at play, until she notices Mako's shirt, which has blood stains from Meikoomon's claws.
Her father wants to run a few tests when Mako
Kumon
goes berserk again.
She causes a lot of damage, cutting up the father and employees wanting to get law enforcement. However, Mako shows up and Meicoomon returns to normal again. When she comes to, Mako tries again to reach Meicoomon. This only gets the attention of the possessed Meicoomon, who attempts to kill her. Good thing Tai was there to save her. After this, she changes targets, the human world, followed by a legion of possessed Digimon. In the human world, Digimon are causing all kinds of havoc, not only with electrical equipment, but property damage. Mr. Nishijima and Mako's father discuss what to do when Hackmon appears again.
He states that the connection between Mako and Meicoomon has been severed, and now Meicoomon has to die so that everyone will live.
Back to the Digidestined, they find the digital world is treating them like an unwanted illness. Day turns to night, sun turns to rain, solid ground turns to cliffs, and eventually they are kicked out entirely. In the real world, Digimon are wanted criminals, and the police give chase to the Digidestined. Cornered, they don't know what to do, until they remember Izzy's private room on his laptop.
The Digimon are safe, but the Digidestined are taken into custody.
That is until Mr. Nishijima bails them out.
Unable to return home because of the paparazzi, they are camped out at the school, which part of me wonders if maybe this is a subtle reference to Season 3.
They spend their time trying to figure out their next course of action. Mako is having the hardest time as she wonders if it was Meicoomon that was corrupted, or her, and if Meicoomon really does need to perish. Tai forcefully tells her that she needs to work this out with Meicoomon. The Digimon see this exchange and believe Mako needs consoling, so they send Agumon.
Now, if this was Season 2 Agumon, or heck, even Season 5 Agumon, I think this was a pretty good call. In the tradition of Try up to this point, Agumon only has food on his mind. To their credit, a little bit of the old Agumon shines through, but not enough to really justify smoothing things over.
Mako is consoled and wants to save Meicoomon. That night, we get a cute moment. TK wants to tell scary stories. Matt objects, says he's quite terrified of them, but the others want to give it a try. Mako ends up pulling a Mary Shelley by telling the scariest story, capped off with Mr. Nishijima checking in on them for the climax.
Like the famous restaurant scene from Reunion, I like the idea that the Digimon and the Digidestined can have a relationship outside of the adventure. And, unlike Determination, doesn't feel like the scene lingers longer than it has to.
The next day, Meicoomon appears, and we see the corruption is getting worse from the last time. Her mere presence is starting to dissolve buildings. Mako wants to try to calm her down again.
Though it works about as well as it did in Confession, which is, suffice to say, not very well.
Just then, an assassin is sent in from Homeostasis,
the entity that possesses Kari in Confession.
The Digidestined go to the ultimate forms in an attempt to keep things from getting out of hand, though it doesn't work. And Mako is almost crushed by the falling rubble. That is, until Meicoomon comes in to save her. In seeing this, the Digidestined have hope that Meicoomon can be saved, and start attacking Jestmon. Homeostasis then possesses Kari again, urging them to call off the attack. Otherwise, they will kill the Digidestined as well. Kari can't stand this line of thought and fights back. Note that Dark Jedi is also in Kari's head.
In getting overwhelmed, Jessamon attempts to take Meicoomon back to the digital world and then close the portal behind him. However,
Matt and Tai are able to form Omnimon, and he is able to keep the portal open. The battle rages when Alphamon appears.
Matt notes that Alphamon is a servant of King Drazel.
Why King Drazel?
While this is great to be able to follow the fight more clearly, how in the heck would Matt know this?
Alphamon lets out a great attack which puts all the Digimon into their in-training forms, minus Omnimon. In seeing this, Meiko realizes the only way to save Meicoomon is to kill her. While the Digidestined argue, Jessamon lets out a great blast, not only taking out Omnimon, but a good chunk of the ground they are standing on. Tai and Mr. Nishijima are sucked in. Kari then falls into despair, seeing her older brother basically die, with Dark Genii in her head like before. This feeling only makes the possession easier. She is loaded with corrupted data, which then gets absorbed by Narumon.
I hope I'm saying the name correctly. How often does this Digimon ever show up?
With all this evil energy, Narumon digivolves into, I'm gonna say, Darko-Fanimon when she fuses with Meicoomon. In doing so, they create an entity of pure evil, or Dinimon. She then plunges the human world into darkness. The Digidestined are feeling sorry for themselves when Matt says they lost the battle, but the war is still on. Matt takes control, and in a symbolic gesture, takes Tai's goggles and puts them on.
This reminds me of the Two Towers when Sam has to take the ring and carry on. There's something very interesting about seeing items associated with the hero with a different character.
As for Mrs. Okidera, Tapirmon found a way to escape her clutches, and she tries hunting him down, going more insane in the process.
What's odd is the first time we see her,
She is holding the weapon used to fight.
Ogremon in determination.
Then she somehow finds herself in the dark ocean with a pistol.
Where is she getting these weapons from? If she's concealing them, I'm wondering how she's able to do that. Also, how in the world did she lose her modified Armalite 15? It just feels like there's a lot more to her story that we just sadly don't get to see on screen. But I guess that's the tradition of the Dark Ocean. Gotta drop part of the story.
There, she sacrifices her pistol to bring Tapirmon back, when the dark ocean consumes her.
We'll probably have to wait until the next entry to see what happened to her, but I wager she's probably dead. Or maybe somehow she got taken captive by the Undersea Master. Seriously, are they ever gonna do anything with that character?
The Digidestined move onward when the movie ends.
There is certainly a lot of build-up to the final battle. Not only seeing the abomination of Ordinimon, but also throwing the idea that the digital world is going to collide with the real world. That's quite a fair bit to build up to. I could definitely say, watching it this time around, I really feel sorry for Meicoomon. Really, the main thing that caused all this was really intense emotions. Anger, fear, and aggression. Wait a minute, that sounds kind of familiar. But at the same time, I'm sure if I went through the same thing while feeling these emotions, I probably would be as far gone too. But I think the other thing to throw into that is the idea that she fused with Dark Mode Ophanimon without any desire to do so. She just feels trapped. Not only is she stuck in two different bodies, but even her emotions are drowning her. Just feels like there's no hope of being able to get her out. So, that is Coexistence. But there is one other thing I wanted to mention as well. So, I mentioned the idea that Coexistence was going to be in the theaters. Well, I guess there was enough success to be able to do it again with Future. And if you've been subbed to my channel long enough, you'll know that I was one of the lucky people that managed to actually see Future in the theaters. It was a very unique experience, which I did a whole video based on that, so I'm not going to go too crazy. But suffice to say, I hope you'll join me next time for Future.